Tuesday, the 14th of October, 2025. The top stories on The Explainer tonight.
Me, I fear no one.
Let's take the next
This
step.
nonsense you're bringing to this country.
Honorable.
Munaibia watu hapa.
That's right.
You should not be this.
Wewe unaibia watu.
Waziri.
Have a chair.
Proceed.
Who are you? You think you can intimidate
Chairman,
us? We don't fear you.
Heated exchange in Parliament as Health CS Aden Duale and Kitutu Chache MP Anthony Kibagendi clash over Shah claims.
And Wasu and Kusu and Kudea, we are not ready to cede even an inch.
Talks between government and Wasu collapse, plunging university learners into deeper crisis as stalemate persists.
There is no way two Kenyans can disappear while in Uganda and the government of Kenya, which is paid by taxpayers to ensure the safety and well-being of Kenyans, remains silent.
Ugandan court orders government to produce 2 missing Kenyans within 7 days as Martha Karua demands action from Nairobi.
Watoto ni wengi sana na hawezi toshea kwa hizi classes, so wengine inabidi tu wakae kwa miti.
A ray of hope dimmed in Kitui East. Hundreds of pupils at Imumba Primary and Junior School learn under trees and crumbling structures as neglect takes root. And also tonight, our conversation focusing on funding entrepreneurs and startups, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. We'll be telling you about the Boost Africa initiative. That is a joint initiative of the European Investment Bank and the Africa Development Bank. They are channeling funds through fund managers such as SeedStars Africa Ventures. And you'll be hearing from one of the beneficiaries of that. That's Samuel Munguti from Shamba Pride. What does it take to invest in African startups for prospering innovation, not just in Kenya, but on the continent? And how can you get your hands on some of this training and some of this funding? It's an interesting conversation you do not want to miss on The Explainer, which starts right now.
Live from Citizen TV, this is The Explainer with Yvonne Okwara.
And Joki Shege is our sign language interpreter. Let's begin today at the National Assembly, where tensions ran high during a heated Health Committee session, with Kitutu Chache MP Anthony Kibagendi and Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale engaging in a war of words. The meeting, convened to discuss the operations of the Social Health Authority SHA, quickly descended into a raucous verbal exchange that involved accusations and personal attacks, leading to disciplinary actions as an intervention. The chaos began after some MPs disagreed with the Health CS over his response on their proposed amendments regarding SHA's performance. Melita Oletenges has the details.
Your Excellency, Honorable Duale, we are not your kids here to come and unatusomea kama watoto wako.
My kids are not.
This
my
is
kids
a
are not.
and we will not. You are a hostile witness.
My kids.
We will not allow you to continue intimidating this committee. We will not allow you.
I will not allow you to.
continue.
I will not allow you to extort and blackmail the Minister of Health.
Who is extorting you?
You are extorting the Minister of Health.
Who is extorting you?
Conflict of
That
interest.
nonsense is what you've been selling out here. We will not allow you. Honorable,
You have a conflict of interest.
who has extorted you?
We have closed your hospitals.
Who has extorted you?
We have closed your
hospitals.
We have closed your hospitals.
I have no hospital. I have no hospital. We will not allow you to continue with this nonsense.
Closed your hospital.
I have no hospital.
And we will charge you
even a dispensary. I've never owned even a dispensary.
We have closed your hospitals.
We will not allow you. Just because you are the president.
You are the
We will not allow you.
You are not extortion.
A fiery exchange between Health CS Duale and Kitutu Chache MP Anthony Kibagendi Amid the confrontation, committee chair Dr. James Nyikal struggled to restore order, only to cut some flack in the process.
Please.
This is nonsense.
You can
Witness to come here.
The chair, I'm chairing this, and I asked you.
You're not chairing. He's the one who is chairing.
No.
He's telling you what to do.
No.
It is true. You are intimidated by this man.
No.
Just because he's a president, Kenyans needs to know Duale is messing up health.
Following the heated exchange, MP Kibagendi was ejected from the committee for misconduct, a move that sparked further protests from fellow members.
It is utterly unfair for you to send Honorable Kibagendi out and have the CS stay here, because they were the two of them. It was a shouting match between two people.
I cannot be intimidated by a member. I come to answer a question in accordance with Article 153. The member for Nandi has she has the right to ask me questions, and I will answer them. But she can't intimidate me.
And he keeps taking swipes on the members of this house. Honorable Chair, he needs to make a decision whether he wants to come back to this house or serve this nation as an executive member.
The only arm of government I cannot serve is the judiciary, because I'm not a lawyer. I can go back to Waziri Township and win.
Waziri,
I want to tell you,
you are going out of order.
I can win and come
it is
back
me
here.
who is making decisions.
Yeah.
Proceed. I've told you to proceed.
You can't intimidate me.
I've told you to proceed.
She's a junior member, talking to a ranking member.
Point of order, Honorable Chair. Point of order, Honorable Chair. I do not feel safe right now in the presence of the Honorable CS, who keeps imputing improper motive on my term, whether first or fifth, it does not matter. I am here legitimately, and he cannot continue taking swipes on me.
CS Duale insists that some members of the health committee were targeting him due to the closure of their private health facilities.
Nobody can bully me, particularly when you are conflicted, when you have facilities.
Point of order,
and some of the
Chair.
members of this committee have facilities.
Point of
if
order,
you want me to name
Chair.
them, I will name them and I'll give it to you.
Point of
and
order,
they should
Honorable
not be
Chair.
in this committee.
Honorable Chair, it's a defensive mechanism for the CS. He is the chief intimidator, and he claims that you're intimidating him so that he can intimidate you.
Me, I fear no one.
Let's take the next
This
step.
nonsense you're bringing to this country has to stop.
Honorable.
Munaibia watu hapa.
That's right.
The tug of war between the executive and the National Assembly has exposed raging political undercurrents, a simmering political magma erupting in the public. Amidst the storm, the tangling of the Social Health Authority remains unresolved, with the public waiting for answers. Melita Olitenge, Citizen TV at the Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
The High Court in Uganda has ordered the Ugandan government to produce Kenyan activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo within 7 days. The two were abducted by suspected security officers in Kampala, Uganda, 2 weeks ago. The orders by Justice Simon Peter Kinobe, who presided over a habeas corpus case filed by two Ugandan lawyers, came even as People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua demanded action from President William Ruto. Activists now say they will lead demonstrations across the country to pressure government to act to save the two. Gatete Njoroge reports.
14 days after their abduction in Kampala, Uganda, there is still no word on the whereabouts of activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo. This is despite mounting pressure from their families and human rights organizations demanding their release. Uganda's High Court on Tuesday directed the Ugandan government to produce the two, whether dead or alive, within 7 days. The decision followed a habeas corpus case filed by two Ugandan lawyers representing the two. Uganda Police Force last week denied the abduction allegations, saying there were no formal reports of their kidnapping. Back in Nairobi, People's Liberation Party leader Martha Karua joined activists in a press conference to demand for action from the Kenya Kwanza government.
How is one William Ruto, the head of the Jumuiya, yet he allows his citizens to be mistreated by other heads of state? It means he is colluding. He is selling us short. And I want to tell the three heads of state of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, The Jumuiya was not about you protecting yourselves from criticism by your citizens.
Kenya and Uganda cannot claim to uphold democracy while engaging in abductions and secret detention. Let it be clearly understood, silence in the face of injustice is complicity. The time to act is now.
With a loud silence from the government, the activists say they will resort to seeking justice through street protests until both governments act on their demands.
This Thursday, 16th October, citizens, human rights defenders will take to the street across the country to demand the immediate and unconditional release of Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo.
And we are telling the KK administration, style up. It is time to act. And if they don't act, then the public will have to act in whatever way they know.
The PLP leader has called for resignation of Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and his Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei over the matter.
Why should they continue to draw salaries if they're not doing the work they are paid to do? Why take money for work not done?
With their abduction coming months after detention and torture of activist Boniface Mwangi and Agatha Atuhaire in Tanzania, activists have appealed to East Africans to stand up in one voice and condemn cross-border abductions and government excesses. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And now we want to take a look at the dispute between university's academic staff union OASU and the government that is headed back to court after a mediation meeting between the two sides failed to yield results or end the strike that is now in its fourth week. OASU Secretary General Dr. Constantine Wasonga accused the ministry of sabotaging the talks of the Technical Joint Committee. The talks, which had raised hopes of ending the impasse that has disrupted learning in public universities for 1 month, collapsed yesterday after hours of tense negotiations over the implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreements. OASU claims government officials frustrated the process, while the ministry insists the lecturers' figures are inflated and the strike is illegal. Mary Morki reports.
The industrial dispute between the University Academic Staff Union and the Ministry of Education has circled back to the courts again after talks between the Interpublic Universities Council's Consultative Forum and university staff unions collapsed on Monday after hours of tense negotiations over the implementation of the 2017 to 2021 CBA. There was no breakthrough after the ministry insisted that, according to the SRC advisory, only about 624 million remains unpaid from the 2017 to 2021 collective bargaining agreement.
We will establish what has been paid from the data that has been submitted by the universities. From that, we shall establish what is outstanding to the lecturers and other non-teaching staff. Then we shall enter into agreement of how that will be sorted out.
When did they realize that their figures are wrong? That now they are requesting finance officers and vice chancellors to give them accurate data by end of business today. Who is confused now?
The ministry.
Who is confused?
The ministry.
Umewashika. 7.9 billion.
The unions insist their audit is final and accuse the government of backtracking and deliberately stalling. They claim the ministry's team walked out of the meeting once the verification confirmed that 7.9 billion shillings remains outstanding.
And it is the PS State Department for Higher Education and Research that sabotaged the workings of the committee. But that does not bother us, because tomorrow we are taking the report to court, as was ordered. And Wasu and Kusu and Kudea, we are not ready to cede even an inch.
Wakome. Hizo fedha hawa wafanyikazi walifanyia kazi kuanzia mwaka wa 2017 hadi wa leo. Ni miaka mingapi? Miaka 8. Wakifanya kazi bila kulipwa pesa zao bilioni 7.9.
The universities and the unions had set up a technical team to establish how much we owe. So we report back to court tomorrow, and we will seek further directions.
The meeting, which was held at Machakos University, had raised hopes among stakeholders of ending the impasse that had disrupted learning in public universities, but ended in yet another deadlock. On Wednesday, all eyes turned to the Employment and Labour Relations Court for directions and a determination on whether dialogue resumes or the stalemate drags on. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
Now, that ongoing lecturer strike has left students at a crossroads, with many now resorting to menial jobs to make ends meet. In Kisii University, it has become a common occurrence to see students in construction sites as they seek funds to take care of the cost of food, as they wait for a resolution of the stalemate between lecturers and the government. Laura Otieno now reports on the plight of hundreds of thousands of students in institutions of higher learning.
Meters from Kisii University grounds, 25-year-old Jasper Ogero is at work. For the last 2 weeks, this has been the routine for the fourth-year student of pure mathematics who was struggling to shoulder the cost of food and electricity at his rented house.
Kama mimi sasa nafanya kazi hapa mjengo, angalau nipate chakula, nilipe rent, nisikafungiwe nyumba. Then hii site ikai kila siku. Unapata kama umetoka kwa wiki mara mbili, hiyo pesa ndio unachikimu nayo kama chakula.
In Bomet County, a similar scenario is playing out. 25-year-old Abubakar Osman is now renting out bicycles for between 60 and 80 shillings per day. He makes about 300 shillings, just enough to get by.
Nimetoka nyumbani na hela za mzazi ambazo zilifaa ziniboost the whole semester. But kwa sasa as I'm talking now, sina chochote. Ile pesa ambayo nilipewa na mzazi ishaisha, imebaki na jihasolia mwenyewe ndio nipate pia riziki. Nipate pia chakula ambacho naweza nisitiri kwa nyumba.
For the last 4 weeks, the stalemate between lecturers and the government has been deepening, with either side holding ground, with students caught in between. Their academic life is now hanging in the balance.
Tulikuwa tuna hope tutamaliza mapema. Sidhani kama itakuwa hivyo, because itabidi tena wameadjust tena tumalize kama next year tena, and then naona life itakuwa hard sana.
We as WASU, especially Bomet University College, we shall hold on. In fact, we shall escalate. We shall upscale this strike until the deal is honored.
Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
And now to a story exposing deplorable state of schools, or a school in Kitui County. At Imumba Primary and Junior School in Kitui East, hundreds of pupils are learning under trees or in crumbling buildings with no adequate personnel, as well as security challenges. Brenda Wanga reports.
The unrelenting, scorching sun set against the hills of Kitui County provides the background to what at first glance appears to be an abandoned collection of structures. The sticks barely bearing the weight of the remnants of a weather-beaten wall that has clearly seen better days. A peek into the building reveals its true purpose. This is one of the classrooms at the Imumba Comprehensive School in Zombe Sub-County, Kitui East, Kitui County, that is home to an ECD center, primary and junior schools. We first encountered this school on a Sunday, but even then, it is clear that conditions here are not conducive for optimal learning.
Watoto ni wengi sana na hawezi toshea kwa hizi classes. So wengine inabidi tu wakae kwa miti.
The severity of this infrastructural deficiency becomes glaringly apparent on Monday morning. One by one, the 375 learners spread between early childhood, primary and junior schools trickle into the school compound and into their respective classes, ready to quench their thirst for knowledge. Learners in grade 1, 2, 3 and 4 share this structure, separated only by the crumbling wall. Concentration in class is an uphill task for the learners who are burdened by the interference from the next class, lack of enough desks that relegates some of the learners to the bare and hygienic floor, and lack of the very basic uniforms. Even getting to school on time is another challenge they have to surmount on a daily basis.
Hawasomi ni kwa ajili ya ngamia kwa barabara, hata wanapika shuleni saa moja saa asubuhi, hawezi kupika za zitakazo.
Kastabru ni kadogo, hata walimu huwa wamepinyana tu hawatoshelezi kwa hiyo ni classroom. Sasa wengine wanabidi tu watuondeski nje ya mti au wanakaa hapo nje.
Even with the crumbling infrastructure, the primary school learners have it better than the youngest in the school. Those in pre-primary 1, laying the foundation of their education happens outside. The thorny trees provide shade, but does little to shield the young ones from the other elements, including human interruptions.
Tunahitaji vitu vingi hapa shuleni mwetu. Tunasumbuka sana. Huku tuko msituni kabisa. Hata hatunjui tuko wapi. Tunahitaji usaidizi kutoka huko juu.
Hiyo mandalasa watoto hawezi wakakaa hapo wote. Wanatoa ndawati huko nje.
The county education director says the national government is doing its bit. A block that hosts the grade 9 learners is nearing completion. The rest of the classes are expected to be funded by the CDF and the Parents Association.
Ni kweli pia kuna infrastructure challenge pale. Tunatumianga partners upande hiyo. Ministry ilifanya kiasi ile ilikuwa inaweza. Tumeregister shule na hata wanapata capitation ya junior secondary. Na primary pia inapata capitation. Walimu wamepostiwa na Teacher Service Commission. So shule haiko understaffed.
The hopes of these learners for a better learning experience now lies in the efforts from the parents, the Constituency Development Fund, and the Ministry of Education, whom they hope will find a way of restoring dignity to their search for education and a better life. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Now to a developing story. Murder suspect Kithuka Kimunyi Musimi, accused of the brutal killing of a GSU officer at State House, Nairobi, was arraigned Tuesday afternoon in the capital. The court ordered that he be detained for 14 days to allow police complete investigations. As Franklin Wala reports, an autopsy on the late officer's body was carried out earlier today, paving the way for his burial, even as his family and human rights activists continue to demand justice for his death.
On Tuesday, a frail and disoriented Kithuka Kimunyi Musimi struggled to walk into the courtroom at the Kibera Law Court supported by detectives. Kithuka is facing murder charges in connection with the brutal killing of GSU officer Ramadhani Hamisi Matanka, who was murdered on Monday at State House, Nairobi. The suspect allegedly claimed that he had been sent by Satan to commit the crime. Inside the courtroom, investigating officer Inspector Bashiri Boya urged the court not to grant the accused bond, citing compelling reasons. The officer said police needed more time to record statements from persons of interest, analyze the suspect's movements and phone data, and fully profile him before formal charges are filed. Chilling details also emerged of how the suspect allegedly traveled overnight from Makueni County on Sunday, arriving in Nairobi and proceeding straight to State House, the scene of the fatal incident.
Alitoka kwa kaunti ya Makueni, alisafiri usiku wa Jumapili iliyopita yona, na hangeweza kutueleza makao maalum yake.
Police are now trying to establish what compelled him to carry out the attack. After the courtroom submissions, Kithuka Kimunyi was denied bond and ordered to remain in custody for a further 14 days as investigations continue. He, however, requested to receive medical attention. Meanwhile, the family of the slain GSU officer Ramadhan Hamisi Matanka spent the day at the Kenyatta National Hospital mortuary following up on the autopsy examination of their loved one.
The DCI to find out what was the motive for that person to come and
kill an innocent person, an innocent officer, still very young, my only baby. Why would he kill my baby? What did that child do to him or her? My baby was just doing his work. He was on duty.
After nearly 4 hours of waiting, the cause of death was finally established.
The arrow went through the 7th and the 8th rib. It pierced the lung, it went through, and it stopped at the heart.
The distraught family, heartbroken and struggling to come to terms with the tragic loss, vowed to pursue justice for their loved one and ensure that those responsible are held accountable.
I want justice for my baby.
All right, let's take a break here on the program. Tonight, a reminder that we have a conversation that's coming up at the top of the hour. We're talking about boosting entrepreneurs and startups in Kenya, and we'll be telling you about the Boost Africa initiative that's coming up on The Explainer. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. In full military uniform, President Ruto leads KDF Days. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua now says Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and Kirinyaga County Members of Parliament are enemies of the Mount Kenya community, maintaining his earlier sentiments that the leaders had sold their community to President William Ruto. Speaking during a rally in Kirinyaga County today, Gachagua dismissed demonstrations organized in defense of Waiguru and Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire yesterday. Emmanuel Toh reports.
He stormed Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru's backyard of Mwea, firing up the crowd that had gathered with anti-government chants. DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua firing back at the alleged organizers of the demonstrations against him, witnessed Monday in Embu, Kirinyaga and Nakuru counties.
Mimi nakuuliza wewe Mombi, tangu Kasongo alete mchele kutoka Pakistan ndio watu wa Mwea waumie, ulikosa wakina mama hata 300 wakuje kwa barabara wapige kelele Kasongo aone aibu.
Gachagua sustaining his onslaught on Waiguru, dismissing the misogyny allegations.
Kama wewe wanashikana na Kasongo alete mchele kutoka Pakistan watu wa Mwea waumie, wewe ni msaliti si msaliti? Wewe ni msaliti si msaliti? Na mimi nasema wewe ukuwe mwanaume, uwe mama, wewe kama ni msaliti, msaliti ni msaliti.
The former DP also including MPs from Kirinyaga County in his firing line, branding them enemies of the people.
Wewe governor and MPs ya Kirinyaga, nyinyi ndio adui kubwa ya watu ya Mwea na watu ya Kirinyaga. You are the enemies of the people of Kirinyaga and our people. Governor mzima anaambia kina mama ndio niwapatie pesa shilingi 500. Lazima mlale kwa barabara na mjigaragalie. Wewe.
Hakuna mtu asiyofaa. Na asiyofaa kafaa. Na ile kudhalilishwa tulionyeshwa jana na Governor Waiguru alitufanya aibu kubwa sana.
The sentiments by Gachagua, initially made on Saturday in Embu County, sparked protests in some Mount Kenya counties, with the residents accusing the DCP leader of demeaning women. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV.
In the meantime, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has come out in strong defense of Governors Anne Waiguru and Cecily Mbarire, lauding them as exemplary leaders who have served the country with distinction in public administration and politics. In a statement, Kindiki praised the two county bosses for what he termed as their, quote, exemplary and successful leadership, saying they have risen through merit and hard work, outpacing what he described as naive and arrogant novices, attempting to intimidate them. The deputy president warned against what he called primitive political bigotry, saying such divisive tendencies will soon collapse under their own weight. He further underscored the need for maturity in Kenya's political discourse, emphasizing that democracy in the 21st century must be anchored on persuasion, respect and policy-driven engagement, not on ethnic or regional divisions. Kindiki urged political players to respect both the people and their elected leaders, saying national unity and tolerance remain key pillars for the country's stability. Now, President William Ruto says his administration has fast-tracked the acquisition and modernization of defense systems in the Kenya Defense Forces in order to improve the military's ability to confront global warfare. Speaking during this year's KDF Day in Eldoret, President Ruto further affirmed that the army has also been factored in an accelerated housing projects across services, bases and barracks. Stephen Leto reports.
Donning the KDF jungle uniform as he presided over KDF Day at Moi Barracks in Eldoret, President Ruto moved to assure the men and women in uniform that all military bases in the country will be equipped with modern and sophisticated machinery and a military modernization program.
The government has fast-tracked the acquisition and modernization of defense systems, improved mobility platforms, and strengthened cyber and intelligence capabilities.
The Commander-in-Chief told the soldiers at the Moi Barracks Eldoret that even as they continue to guard the borders, terrorism is slowly shifting into a cyber warfare that the country must quickly confront.
The battlefield is changing rapidly, and Kenya must always remain a step ahead of emerging threats.
During this year's celebrations, welfare of families of the soldiers also came to the fore.
We have expanded healthcare in military facilities, accelerated housing projects across services, bases, and barracks, and enhanced family support programs. When a soldier has the comfort of knowing that family is safe and supported, they serve with sharper focus, greater courage, and unshakable resolve.
Head of State further lauded the Kenya Defense Forces for their contribution to the country's development agenda.
Security and development are two sides of the same coin. Without security, there can be no sustainable development. And without development, insecurity finds fertile ground. The KDF, through their discipline and professionalism, continues to contribute immensely to our national development agenda.
Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
As calls to have the country's youth register in their numbers intensify, the government says it has begun mobile registration of persons without IDs in 15 counties, set to be below the national average in identification cards uptake. Immigration and Citizen Services Principal Secretary Dr. Belio Kipsang, while leading the sensitization exercise in Kilifi, said the mobile registration not only targets the processing of national IDs, but also birth certificates to enable Kenyans access crucial government services, including its SHA health insurance. The first phase of the exercise is currently underway in Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo counties.
It does is that it captures your photo, it captures your fingerprints, your information is captured in the same system, and when the information is submitted, it is submitted directly to the headquarters for just verification and printing. And this has made it possible for us to be able to avail IDs to our Kenyan citizens between 1 day and 7 days. Those who are replacing their IDs and they are in Nairobi, if you take your critical information in the morning, including the biometrics and all the information, by 5 o'clock you'll be able to collect your ID.
Preparations for the Jipange na Viusasa Roadshow are complete, with the Inoro FM presenters team all set to thrill fans across the Mount Kenya region starting Wednesday. The roadshow will kick off from Flyover, moving through Njambini, Engineer, Mawingu, Wanjohi and finally Rumuruti. For only 50 shillings, participants will get a chance to enjoy various shows and win exciting prizes daily, with the grand prize being 2 million shillings. Today, the first winner was awarded 500,000 shillings. Viusasa has organized this special tour to meet and reward its fans while celebrating 8 years since its inception.
Ingia kwa Viusasa, subscribe katika 724-177, weke account yako, uwezi jua ni wewe tunaweza pigia kukwambia kwamba umeshinda shilingi 1,000,000, shilingi 500,000.
We are not out to invade your privacy.
We are not out to get you. KRA tells Kenyans as a defense move to monitor merchant transactions. The Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, has moved to reassure Kenyans of the safety of their data amid efforts seeking to give the authority more freedom to monitor merchant transactions. According to KRA's board chair, Nderitu Murithi, the authority is not interested in people's data for malicious purposes, but only to enable it ensure that all Kenyans pay their fair share of taxes. Jimmy Mbogo reports.
Not that we are out to get you. That's not what we mean. It's not like that at all. We are not out to invade your privacy or look into your data.
This was the reassurance from Kenya Revenue Authority Board Chair Nderitu Murithi to Kenyans who have expressed reservation on the efforts by the government to allow the taxman to look into their transactions. According to Nderitu, the authority's effort to employ new technologies such as artificial intelligence and advanced data analytics in tax collection is purely aimed at efficiency to ensure compliance.
When you pay by mobile, you pay the restaurant owner who now has to do some work to reconcile and then remit to KRA. KRA on our part, we have officers who are following to see that that has happened. Yet we can switch the transaction right at the point of payment so that what is going to KRA goes directly to KRA and what is going to a tourism, for example, also goes directly to tourism. And that would remove the cost on the merchant. It would remove the cost on KRA.
Speaking at the annual tax summit, sector players called for the transformation of the country's tax administration, urging KRA to re-engineer itself into an agency that is more inclusive, away from the enforcer mindset.
KRA must envision a fully integrated, seamless system that anchors strategic reforms in efficient service delivery and make compliance with government regulations almost effortless. We must move to a future where filing tax returns is as simple as sending mobile money.
The authority is now calling on the National Treasury to allocate more funds to fast-track digitization process as it looks to increase the number of active taxpayers from the current 9 million. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kenya's public financial management is showing signs of improvement, but serious gaps remain. A new report by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, has revealed a surge in pending bills and continued weaknesses in internal controls across national government ministries, departments and agencies. Our reporter Dennis Otieno has the details.
A review by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya covering the financial years 2020-2021 to 2022-2023 shows that while the number of clean audit opinions, known as unmodified opinions, has risen from 22 to 28, many government entities are still struggling with poor financial discipline. The report highlights recurrent issues such as unsupported expenditures, weak internal controls, and the failure to resolve past audit queries.
This, of course, is about poor physical discipline, because I believe also when you are giving budget for the salaries, if it's 200 million, included in it, there are all those the SACCOs, the pension, the pay as you earn, but we noted a number of MTAs having this.
Perhaps most alarming is the surge in pending bills, which nearly doubled from 72 billion shillings in the financial year 2020-2021 to 130 billion shillings in the financial year 2022-2023, signaling inefficiencies and growing fiscal strain.
This is a matter of life and death for Kenyans. When we have those pending bills, it actually means that every day 300 million of suppliers to the government are not paid. and this has a lot of bad consequences in the economy.
To address the persistent weaknesses, ISPAC is recommending stricter enforcement of compliance, ensuring all accounting officers and financial statement signatories are members in good standing.
So today, as we launch these audit reports, which we have condensed and compiled in one book, my call for action will be, what is the next step? And the next step should be the implementation of the audit recommendations. There should be actually a framework where it is a mandatory need for that implementation.
We should all be conscious of the fact that as accountants, the financial reports we give are supposed to reflect a true and fair view of the state of affairs, and let that state of affairs be a healthy state of affairs for the sake of our country.
According to ISPAC, Kenya's public sector is still struggling with weak accountability and rising pending bills. ISPAC reckons stronger oversight and professionalism are key to fixing the problem. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The national women football team, Harambee Starlets, have intensified preparations for the upcoming Crunch WAFCON qualifier against the Gambia. The Beldine Odemba coach side will host the first leg on the 24th of October at the Nyayo Stadium here in Nairobi. The two teams will then face off again in the return leg 4 days later in Senegal, with the aggregate winner booking a place to the 2026 WAFCON final in Morocco. Starlets have been training for a month now, will hope to return to the tourney, which they've only featured once in 2016 in Cameroon.
Na nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu training iko juu na kila mtu ana give in the best because tunataka to win Gambia at home and away. Na mimi nashukuru ma coaches na technical bench na players wenzangu juu kila mtu ana push hard.
Kama session imekuwa tough, tunainuana kuambiana unaweza, tungangane hadi mwisho. Hiyo sando inatupatia morale ya ma players hadi mwisho, tuone vile the end itakuwa.
The Ithokwe Stadium in Kitui County was on Tuesday handed over to the National Celebrations Steering Committee ahead of the Mashujaa Day celebrations set for the 20th of October. This follows the completion of the works on the stadium, which have been under construction for the last 3 months. The stadium is expected to open officially Friday, October 17th, ahead of the Mashujaa feat.
Huu umeendelea kukamilika. Kuna mambo madogo ambayo tumekubaliana na kandarasi ndani ya siku 2-3 yatakuwa yamemalizika, lakini hayazuii maandalizi ya sherehe. Kwa hivyo tutakabidhi uwanja rasmi kwa kamati ya Mashujaa.
Kenyan boxers are aiming to shine on home soil as the country prepares to host the Zone 3 Boxing Championship, set to run from October 16th to the 24th at the Kasarani Gymnasium, with 12 countries having confirmed participation. The team, which is training at Police Depot in Mathare, Nairobi, have upped their preps, focusing on tactics and endurance as they polish the grey areas ahead of the bouts. The tournament will feature 13 weight categories for men and 10 for women, with reigning champions the Democratic Republic of Congo posing the major threat to Team Kenya.
Ushindi unaenda kubaki huku Kenya kwetu, na tuna imani sana. Hii ni Zone 3. Sijaipata gold Zone 3.
Mazoezi hapa imekuwa vizuri sana, tumejiandaa vizuri sana kwa hii Zone 3 na nina hope ya kuantaleta gold nyumbani since hii game iko home. Anaweza mashabiki wakuje kwa wingi.
Home player John Legerma produced a masterful performance on round 2 of the 6th leg of the Sunshine Development Tour, East Africa Swing, taking control of the tournament heading into the final round at the Royal Nairobi Golf Club. Lajirma, representing the host club, fired an impressive 6 under par 66 in his second round, taking his overall tournament total to 8 under par and a commanding 4-shot lead. Some 30 players have made the cut to contest the final round on Wednesday, with a 2 million shilling prize money up for grabs.